Yeah, it's my privilege to be here with you tonight. Thank you very, very much. I must start not just by thanking you for the opportunity, but actually for the second opportunity with my deep regret and one of the low points, definitely of my year, but maybe even beyond that, that I missed our meeting last week, Thursday. I am not just embarrassed and ashamed, uh, but I am tremendously sorry. So thank you, and very grateful for a second opportunity that we have to actually introduce you to Elroi Academy. To be honest, I think it worked out for the better, because it did mean that I was able to, in response, feeling so bad that I missed it, to get as much of the Elroi Academy value that we have, to introduce you to as many of our teachers as was available, as well as some of the support services and people that are involved, including some of our students that could join us tonight. So thank you for the opportunity that we can present to you tonight, and I am really, really grateful for that. Let me just start by introducing myself. My name is Pieter Rousseau. I'm the owner and principal of Elroi Academy. Myself, a teacher, qualified teacher, math teacher, although I spend most of my time dealing with problems as principals do. So it is my privilege tonight to introduce you to Elroi Academy and what we do as a distance education provider. I want to just start by giving you a quick overview of our program tonight, what we're going to speak about, and I would love to take questions along the way. However, I think it would be best if we do take questions near the end rather than along the way, because we might address your question in one of the later points. But if you do just need some clarity on something that we've said, or you have a question for one of the speakers, then you are more than welcome to put up your hand and we will give you an opportunity. I do want to just honor everyone's time tonight, and we are really going to aim to finish by 7 o'clock so that everyone can get back to their families for the evening. So we will try and keep it as brief as possible. So tonight we'll just give a brief overview of Elroi Academy. We'll talk about how it works, how the learning assessments, tutor support centers, concessions, admin and finances work. And then finally, we'll look at some of the extra things that's included in the offering that we offer as Elroi Academy. Let me just start by telling you a little bit about our name. Elroi Academy means God sees me. So the name comes from a passage in the Bible where a slave girl impregnated with Abraham's child is forced to run away because she's being abused. She finds herself in the desert, and there, feeling very rejected and very alone, she encounters an angel. The angel encourages her to go back, submit herself to Sarah, Abraham's wife, and in response to that, this girl that a while ago had a victim mentality responded and said, I have seen the God that sees me. And this has become the heart of Elroi Academy. We want to be like that angel, someone that students encounter and recognize that they are valuable, they are precious, there's a purpose for their life, that God sees them, and that they encounter that through people that demonstrate to them that they are valuable and that we see them because God sees them. So that means that our values at Elroi, I don't think it's really stated somewhere in a business profile or anything. It's just what I thought about, the things that really is valuable to us as an institution is firstly care. We really do care about our students. The very first line on our teacher contracts is care for the kids. That is our highest priority. And then secondly is to grow, not just for our students, but even for ourselves. Everything is changing daily, and we all need to grow in order to make sure that our values stay in line with what is important for us and how the world is changing around us. So we need to grow. The students need to grow. It's why we are at school. is to learn, to grow. And then finally, we offer a qualification, and this you'll find is a very high priority for us, and that is integrity. So we take our assessments very serious, and we take it very serious that students act in a way that demonstrates their character. So that would be our values. And then our highest priorities, the things that we do not compromise on, is support. That for us is one of the highest responsibilities that we have towards our clients, is that they get the proper support that they need in order to do well. Many of our students, if not most of them, are distance education learners. They're homeschoolers, and so they're doing this by their own steam, and they need the support for that. Some of our students are in tutor support centers, like the students at Flamboyant, and therefore that support center needs the support from us in order to be able to give proper support to their students. So that is important to us. The next thing is the quality of assessments. In what we offer a qualification. At the end, the students are going to write a matric final exam, and if their final exam mark doesn't correspond with what they got in grade 10 and 11, it was all for naught. So we make sure that our assessments have the highest quality, so that the marks that you are getting in those assessments is an indication of what you know you are going to get in the final exam in grade 12. And so just to brag a little bit about with Elroi Academy, you will see that we are the top-rated distance education provider in South Africa. And I base that not on some award that we won, but on the rankings available to us. We are the #1 online school on Hello Peter, #5 in online education, because that includes institutions other than online schools. And then if you were to Google us and look at our reviews, I challenge you to find any distance education provider with with roughly the same number of reviews and with better reviews than we have. So we are very proud that that as an institution, we really deliver on these things that we are promising. We're not perfect. We make a lot of mistakes. And I think the one thing that we try to do is admit it when we make mistakes and then try and improve on those. So we are grateful for you, for example, for giving us the second opportunity after we missed last week's meeting. Just important practical things about Elroi Academy is we are SACAI registered and we are CAPS aligned. Basically what that means is that we offer a national senior certificate, the matric qualification in South Africa. That qualification is issued by Umalusi. So at the end of matric, our students get a normal Umalusi matric certificate. It doesn't say Elroi Academy, it doesn't say SACAI, it says Umalusi National Senior Certificate. Now, Umalusi is the qualification body. In other words, they are the institution that offer the qualification. However, they are not the examination body. They don't offer the exams. The final exam for the Umalusi certificate is offered either by the Department of Education, it's called exam bodies, the Department of Education, the Independent Examination Board, which is the IEB, most private schools work through them, or SACAI. So SACAI was started in order to address the need for homeschoolers that wanted to do matric. So most homeschooling institutions work through SACAI, and that is why we as a distance education provider use SACAI. Most tutor centers have their learners registered through an institution like Elroi, Impact. There's a number of institutions that is registered with SACAI, because tutor centers don't often have the ability, resources, number of students to register directly with for accreditation with Umalusi and the Department of Education. And so this is a legal and valid way for smaller, they're often called micro schools, to obtain a matric, because what you get in the end, you're registered with a distance education provider that is registered with an accredited exam body offering the Umalusi certificate. Now, I know that could be a little bit complicated and a little bit concerning, so I do want to pause here just for a moment if there are any questions, maybe just regarding how how the qualification works? You're welcome to put up your hand. Excellent. Okay. In that case, let me just say what Elroi Academy basically is we're a registered distance education provider that gives learners access to the National Senior Certificate, that's a matric, in flexible contexts, such as homeschooling or tutor centers, with high quality study material and structured assessments. But to be honest, that means if I just stop there, it doesn't make us different from any other distance education provider. That is what Impact is and Auxilio is and Think Digital is. So, but that is what we are basically. But what sets us apart, what makes us different from that is our unmatched support and quality assessments. With us, what makes us completely different than any of those is that our students have access to competent, qualified teachers who genuinely care about their success. And together with our top-rated support service, it goes far beyond just academics. And that truly sets us apart. The other thing, of course, is our high-quality assessments. And I'm proud to say that that even SACAI purchases assessments from Elroi Academy for their grade 10 and 11 final exams, because we have such a rigorous and a process of developing and conducting our assessment. So I'm very proud of our team, not just teachers and staff, but also the management that produces the high quality assessments. Now, that's what sets us apart, and that's as much as I want to say tonight. I want to give some time to some of our teachers and our students to explain to you a little bit more about how everything works. I just want to make sure, Yvette, are you online? I'm not on the screen.
Yes, Pitania.
Good. Okay, so I want to give over to Yvette. I'm going to let her introduce herself, and she's just going to tell you a little bit about how it works from the teacher's perspective when we offer our services to the learners as teachers. Thanks, Yvette.
Hi, everyone. Okay, my name is Yvette Kruger. I am the geography teacher at Elroi, and a little about what we as teachers do. Everybody thinks that, oh, it's just a half-day work. It's still not a half-day work. We work just as hard as all the others because we are constantly in contact with the kids. What we offer is that the kids have a direct line to message us and ask questions. That's the first line. And the kids usually use it. They will send a message that says, ma'am, I really don't understand this. Can you help me? And by just using that request, we can reach out to the kid and say, okay, perfect. Can you do an online extra class session at this time, this date, or what would work for you? That gives the student the opportunity to get a teacher online to speak directly to them towards the one problem that they have. They don't have to sit through a whole class and get extra classes on 6 different topics. If they just struggle, for instance, with geography, with map work, we can do that, the calculations part of map work that the student is struggling with, and it doesn't waste the teacher or the student's time. It's like a quick 15 to 20 minutes session, and that student gets the one-on-one with the teacher that they usually don't get in a normal classroom. What we also do as teachers is we give, we set up a study guide that the students follow every week. And in the study guide, it differs. Everybody does its own way, but it usually gives you a guideline on how the topic for the week will be working. And it will give you the work for the week that the kids can pace themselves on what they want to do. Because some days the mathematics would be a bit harder for them, so they would spend more time on it. And then on a Tuesday, they can do the geography that they didn't do on the Monday. So it gives them the flexibility to pace their own work. And with a center like Flamboyant, they can help them to focus on the part that is necessary for them on that day. Now, at a center like Flamboyant, this is very important because one day you will have a student that can focus absolutely on a language, but tomorrow he won't be able to do that. So on that day, you would rather do what works for that student to get the most out of it. And tomorrow you can do another topic on another subject when the child is closed off to the subject that might have been difficult for them. What we also do is we mark their tests, and we give them feedback on the test on what they would have could have done differently. than what they would have said. Let's say the answer was wrong. You give them a note and tell them, this is what you should have done. This is where you can find it in the textbook. So you give them guidance on everything. We give them a scope for all the tests that they know what they should expect, and it is ready for them at least in the minimum 2 weeks before the test. And with that, we have past papers that the kids can access, that they can work through the whole time. With that, also teachers can give feedback sessions on memorandum discussions on test, or they can do a pre-test session where they discuss what would happen in test, what to expect, and the same would go for PAT sessions and stuff like that. What makes this fantastic is that if a student has problems and they need like sites or something, and they need assistive technology on the computer, like with map work, they can actually zoom in, take a photo and tell me, ma'am, this is how I did it. They show me they worked in the correct place, and they can use the computer in an assistive way to help them with their learning strategies that they are following. And the teachers also they guide the kids a lot. I can't stress this much. I have every day I have about 2-3 kids reaching out, asking me questions, and it's so nice for us to be able to help them. And we follow on the calendar. We make sure that the calendars are up to date, and we make sure that they do reach out to other kids in the class. We have a question and answer section where they can ask a question, and any kid that has that subject with that grade level is able to answer them, and the teacher can guide and see, okay, yeah, they're on the right track or not. And together with this, we also have a WhatsApp group where the tutor centers, all the students can join, where they can also ask a quick question like, I need the answer straight now, and someone would be able to answer them. I truly feel that the passion that the teachers have at Elroi is beyond it's beyond anything else. All the teachers that we have has been teaching at schools for so long that you're basically getting a graded school teacher that's able to help your kids over a distance at any time that is convenient for both parties. Peter, I'm not sure if I left something out.
You did leave one thing out, and I'll just remind you, is the weekly announcements. So
I was guiding to that, and I cut myself off. The teacher give a weekly announcement every Monday morning, or in a Sunday evening late. They will send out the weekly announcements where the kids can see, okay, this is what we have to do. It will remind them about where they are in the study guide, what the tests are for the term, and any extra information that the teacher needs to get over. They can also send them YouTube links that will help with the week's worth work. They can send them extra notes with geography this year. They started making they told us that there are certain topics that the kids have to learn for term 3, and the teacher will be able to make notes on that topic because textbooks don't have this yet, and be able to put it there for the kids and say, listen, you're going to lead this for the week, let me know if you don't understand it and where it fits in, and you can have another session with them to explain it to them.
Thank you very, very much. Now, that is, in general, what you can expect from all of the teachers. I think Yvette goes above and beyond if she says she's available anytime. I don't think all of the teachers will necessarily have that capacity, but definitely our expectation is that the teachers do respond as soon as possible, not longer than one business day if there was a question. So within reason, of course. But some of the subjects do require extra assistance. And for that, one example is, for example, English is a very difficult subject. It's a very important subject. So I asked Ronel Meiberg, our English teacher, just to tell us a little bit about what she does, maybe that goes above and beyond the support for a subject like English. Thanks, Ronel.
Thank you, Peter. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, principals, teachers, and everybody attending. Yvette has mentioned almost everything that we do, but when it comes to English, I think for me, the most important thing is to ensure that learners are able to interpret questions properly. I think in the end, you might have learners who know their work, but they struggle to express the the answer effectively. So I focus a lot on that, and have specific contact sessions on analysis of questions. This obviously reflects in other subjects as well, because if learners can interpret a question properly, then they'll be able to answer much better. So we do sessions on approaching questions and answering questions, analysis of questions specifically. So when I do feedback on an assessment, that's something that I focus on a lot, because it's not, I don't do a standard memo discussion as such. I unpack the question paper, I analyze it, and I show learners the inadequacies of responses and how that could have been improved via the analysis of questions. So that's something I place a high value on. And then additionally, in English, we know it's a very demanding subject, in the sense that it has a wide range of literature that must be covered. In the home language, learners must cover 3 genres. So we try to divide those that amount of work into smaller digestible sections via the study guide, and also the weekly mails that learners receive to tell them what they need to do for the week. So that allows them to complete the work in time. I like to finish with the literature by September, so that I can embark on an extensive revision program, because you can't answer questions on a literature, on a poem or a book or whatever, if you've gone through it once. You really need to engage with the text. So when we do the revision program, we assist them with practice questions and answers, and make sure that they are thoroughly prepared for the final assessments. With talking about the literature, we provide extensive notes. I personally make slideshows for every poem, and I post it on the portal so learners can watch, because I believe that learners can, our kids are used to visual stimuli, so they need to see something in order to do well in it. So I believe that a slideshow or a video that you can provide to learners on poetry or novel or drama or whatever, it can assist them. And we also assist them with links. There are so many resources available. So being at a tutor center, it's actually ideal. You can gather the learners of a specific grade and maybe go through the slideshows with them. You can assist them, and that will help them a lot to understand that. And then, grammar skills, weekly grammar exercises are provided. They have textbooks that they use, and the memos are also provided. So I think through this kind of structured guidance and clear resources, and then specifically the targeted feedback on every assessment, because learners need to know how they can improve in the next assessment. So if you give proper feedback on assessments, then you can enhance their performance through that. So yeah, that's my story. Peter, thank you.
Ronel, thank you very much. And I think parents would understand why I think I am on a number of husbands' hit lists. They work till late in the night, not because there's any requirement in the contracts, but just because they really care, and they go far above and beyond what we expect of them, because they care about their students. So Ronel, thank you. I don't know half of the things that the teachers actually do extra. So I really appreciate actually hearing it. Thanks, Ronel. Another subject that's really a big challenge and a very difficult subject is mathematics, of course. Elroi Academy is actually a matric rewrite, a registered rewrite center, which means most of our learners are actually matric rewriters. They come to improve subjects that they didn't do well at school, or to take subjects they didn't take at school. They had math literacy, they need maths, as an example. And so Ulrika is one of our most precious teachers, an excellent math educator. And I asked her as well just to say a little bit about how math, the support we offer for math, that's a bit more than the general subjects.
Thank you, Peter. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Elroi. Hopefully you will, enjoy and benefit from what we do. Yes, my name is Ulrika Moatsi. I'm a mathematics teacher. I love maths and I love our children. I really care about my students. I think all of us as teachers do. So with maths, we need to practice every single day. So I always say the minimum is at least 2 hours minimum per day, and I always tell my students, you gotta do this for 6 days. I'll just give you 1 day to rest, but you have to practice maths every day. You can't only do maths on the days that we meet. So yes, I have live sessions, contact sessions once per week with each of my grades. I do grade 10 and 11 and 12. In our live sessions, I go through the content in the textbook. I basically teach them, discuss, give them an opportunity to ask questions, answer their questions. It actually helps the students when you are there, and that contact with your teacher, even if it's online. I believe it just makes a difference. I encourage them a lot. When they've just written a test and they just feel down, I tell them actually a test is a good thing to show you where you're at. I always emphasize for them not to ignore their results, because that actually shows you where you're at. And you can't keep on doing the same thing over and over and expect different results. So I always say that to them. So I think that's also where the tutor center can come in to encourage the students to look at the memo when we make the memos available, and to see where they went wrong and not to ignore the weak spots, to actually work on that. So yeah, so we do our live sessions, and then I also do memo discussions. I go through every single question in the memo, how we got it, so that the students can even understand that. Yeah, and then yes, so the study guide is very important for us. It's our weekly program where the kids can actually follow through what they need to do every week, to be able to be up to date. The Q&A, that's where our students ask questions, and that's where we answer them. Sometimes I find the questions they ask I can't answer by typing, so I'll just make a little recording to explain, because it also helps when I'm explaining it with voice. I do that. And sometimes, students will contact you and tell you, things are rough. And I do give them like a 15-minute extra. I don't do it all the time, but I do like a 15-minute extra session where I listen to the students, see where they're at, and then maybe show them what they can improve on. So that's another, extra things we do as teachers, when we're able to. We just create those extra sessions to speak to our students. Yeah, and we do have an online course that our very own Mr. Rousseau created. It's got YouTube channels, it's got a lot, so the students can use that as well. I want to say that the beauty of having grade 10, 11, and 12 is that grade 10 is a foundation. So I work hard with my students to build that foundation. And a lot of them get it right. Some of them don't. And so this is where, I don't necessarily tell them this, but, tutor centers maybe could be closed. Parents could be also closed, because that's where the students need to ask questions. Why am I doing maths? Am I just doing it because it's a cool subject, to have on my NSC? Or do I even need it? because there's options. You can do maths lit. Yes, maths opens a lot of opportunities for the students. We know that. But what's the point of getting a 30%? By the way, I don't understand why 30% is a pass. I always tell my children, guys, 30% is not a pass. Anyway, but what's the point of getting 30% for maths and you got 80s and 70s for other subjects? Because that 30% is going to drag the whole average down. So if a student really doesn't need maths for, after matric, it's actually advisable that after grade 10, they should just take stock and say, okay, I'm going to change, so that they can do a subject that can even improve their maths. And of course, if they need maths, then they need extra stuff. They need maybe a personal tutor. Personal tutor helps a lot. So I always just want to bring that forth, that maths is amazing. I want everyone to do maths, but not everyone can do maths. That's just the truth. And so grade 10 is a good indication whether you're supposed to be doing maths or not, especially if you don't need it. Yeah, so that's me. I am passionate about our students and learning and teaching them, and we have been getting nice results. Last year we had some distinctions, and one of them was maths. I was quite proud in matric. So it is doable. You just need our students to work. Yeah. That's me. Thank you.
Very much, Ulrika. Thank you. Yeah, one of our students were one of the top students in the country, the most distinctions in South Africa. So we were very proud of her. I want to then give over quickly, and I'm sorry our time is running a bit tight, but I do want to ask Danielle she's one of our student ambassadors. Danielle, would you mind just telling a little bit about how the learning works for you on your side? How do you approach your studies?
Yes, hello, I'm Danielle. I've been a student at Elroi since 3 years by now, since grade 10. And yeah, I'll keep it very basic, as I think a lot of students we have the resources, and it's up to us to come up with our study schedules and how we will do our work that best fits for us. But overall, as you mentioned with the teachers, the study guides are the first thing to do. It comes as a PDF and you can download it, and so it's always available. And it has a lot of things, and the most important ones are it has what the textbook is. So each subject has it, and it gives you the specific textbook you can download and get it on Snapify. But also it's really nice that some teachers have the textbook that you can download as a PDF and you don't have to pay for it. Sometimes they give that as an availability, but most of the time you get it as Snapify and you have to pay for it. But that's the most important one. And then the second one is obviously the study schedule, which each week you would have the topics in the textbook that you can work on. Basically, hopefully by the end of the week you get those topics done, and the exercises as well. So that's as a student, we try to aim to finish those topics in our textbook with each of our subjects, try to get it done by the end of the week. Then the second most important thing is obviously the announcements. The teachers give us each week gives an announcement by teachers that say Sunday evening or Monday morning, where they basically tell us the most important things, like dates of upcoming assessments, exams, and tests. They also tell us the week that we need to work on the topics, which basically reflects the study guide, just to remind students what they need to get done by the end of the week. And then again, they give dates and times that they are available to have private sessions for the class available, Google Meets, just like this, and they go on to topics that students can ask for more clarification and more help with to understand. I find those are most important, and to every week just read the announcement, and sometimes they might be on Tuesday or Wednesday, but try to read it first thing in the week so that you know what you can do for the rest of the week. Then yeah, since the study guides and the announcement give the topics, they give the topics of the overview that might be coming on the test and the exams, you can use that to study. You can get the topics from those and then find the best way for you to study those topics so you can feel well prepared for those tests. And again, for the memo discussions of previous assessments and tests, you can use those and incorporate in your study to get better results. And then the most really nice thing about Elroi that I've experienced is that you can always ask for help. I think the teachers did say you can have direct contact with the teachers if you have something very specific towards you. But I find the most nice one is the Q&As, that each subject has their Q&As that you can go and ask questions about topics, or like if you're struggling to get information about something or studying, that teachers can help you. But not only teachers, other students can also help you. And I think that's the best. I feel a little bit more comfortable when a student can tell you, because you don't feel alone. The teachers as well, they just explain it really well. And yeah, that's how each week, that's how it'll look by a student and how they can incorporate it. That's it.
Danielle, thank you so very much. I'm so proud of Danielle. She's a wonderful student. So thank you for making yourself available to just share from your side. And I want to say that Danielle is doing all this by her own steam. I don't think you've got anyone helping you, Danielle. You've been doing homeschooling.
I just have a private tutor for mathematics, but yeah, other than that, no.
Excellent. So I'm so proud of her for doing that and doing well, even by herself. But that's not the only way that students do study. Some of them are at tutor centers, and Taylor is one of our students that's at a tutor center. So I just asked her to explain how does it work for her. They're all different. I must say this, that all the tutor centers work differently. And I'll say a thing or two, or a tutor center will say a thing or two about how that works. But Taylor, how does it work for you at a tutor center?
Hi, my name is Taylor. I'm also a student at Elroi. I've been at Elroi for 2 years now. So with the tutor center, what happens is pretty much we go in as a normal school and day. Pretty much I go in from 8 until 2, and then I work with tutors specifically for each subject. So I will work with a maths tutor at a math time, and what we do is we take all the study guide work that we've been given by Mrs. Moche or our English teacher for that subject, and we work on that in class, and we work according to the schedule. So some of the support that we get not only from the tutor center, we also get from the teachers on Elroi. And basically what happens is those two are then combined, and we work like that. We get support from the Elroi via the online sessions, the Q&As, all the things that have been mentioned previously, and they really make a huge difference, because a lot of the time, instead of having to figure out, okay, we have to do X, Y, and Z for this year, the study guides break it down into workable portions, and that way we can cover everything without having to stress too much. So the experience with the teachers at the tutor center and with the teachers online is absolutely amazing, because we get our online sessions, and then after the online sessions, we go back with our tutors and we work step by step through everything that we've been given, so we can 100% master it, so that by the time exams come, we have almost no stress. So with the online sessions, as well as the support, the Q&As and everything, we also have a WhatsApp group, and the WhatsApp group is purely students. Pretty much there are teachers on each subject, but in the WhatsApp community there are different WhatsApp study groups. So there's one for maths, there's one for English, there's one for Afrikaans, and on those, the students can also ask other students for assistance instead of always going to the teachers. So you'll find that there'll be a Q&A about the question, and then they'll put it on the WhatsApp group, and then we can get help from both sections, compare the two, understand both, and that way we understand even more.
Taylor, thank you very much. And I do just want to mention, just so that there's no confusion, that Elroi Academy we're not an online school, so there are not online classes in the sense that we have a program and students join these online classes. We provide the curriculum, the content, the structure, But on top of that, there are teachers in the important subjects that offer contact sessions. So just so that you don't have that we don't present an unfair expectation on you, there are online contact sessions, and there are certain subjects that have it weekly, but it is not an online school. So please take note of that. So the whole point for a tutor center is that you get all the resources as a tutor center for their tutors and their teaching staff to play a supportive role. And every tutor center uses that in a different way. Some function like normal schools. And Elroi Academy functions more as an assessment provider. But a little bit more about that when we come to that point. But that does bring me to our assessments. How assessments work at Elroi Academy. So I've asked Ingrid. Ingrid is our SBA manager. SBA stands for school-based assessment. That is the marks that end up contributing towards your report mark for grade 10 and 11, and in grade 12 for your year mark that counts towards your final exam mark. So I asked Ingrid just to take us through the process of what Elroi does to ensure high quality assessments. But I know she is abroad. Ingrid, but you are online. Excellent, thank you. Thanks, Ingrid. The floor is yours. Our time is running tight, so if you can do that as quick as possible.
I'm going to go fast. I'm going to go very fast.
She swims very fast, so I know she's fast if she says that.
Evening, everyone. So a huge privilege to just run you through a very important part of what we do at Elroi, and that's the excellence of our assessments. So we set some 400 plus assessments throughout the year, and this is done on a due date system. And it works like this pretty simply. We start off with an examiner who will set the paper. It then goes through a cognito system, which is just a reporting system, to the moderator for that subject. And the paper is then moderated, feedback given to the examiner back to the moderator, back and forth they go until both are happy with the paper, that it is exactly as they want it to be. And then a final draft is submitted through the system, and then it lands on my desk. And once it gets there, I give it a quick look through just in terms of general overview, and it then moves on to a proofreader. We then have a proofreader who reads and checks for any English errors, any small formatting errors. So we would like to say our assessments are perfect, but we are humans, so they're not perfect, but they're really close. See, they're really close. So one day we're going to get them spot on, Peter. I'm sure of it. But anyway, so once it's been to the proofreader, it then goes to Johan, who does a check that the formatting is exactly according to a template that has been worked in. And once he okays it, it then is uploaded onto Moodle, which is our assessment platform, and a mail is then sent to the teacher. The teacher then checks that that is the correct assessment with the correct date, etc., and then he or she ticks it off as completed, and the assessment is now ready to be taken by the students. The day of the assessment, the assessment is set with a timer. Exams start at exactly the same time, but during the other assessments, like tests, for example, there will be a 3-hour or 4-hour period that the students can write in, but it's set on a timer. So as the student opens the assessment, their clock starts, and they've got 10 minutes to read the hour if it is an hour paper, and then they've got 15 minutes to get it scanned and uploaded onto the system. And there is obviously invigilation that takes place in that process. There are tasks that are done as well. Those are not timed, they just have a due date, and the teacher monitors that those all come in. So, so the tasks are slightly different to the tests, and the test's slightly different to the exams, but basically it's all monitored and done under careful guidance with invigilators and the teachers. And then it gets to the teachers, they then mark it. Once it's marked, it goes to post-moderation, where a percentage of the papers are post-moderated. And then there are the memo discussions that that the teachers have been talking about, and that takes us to the end of the whole process. And that's it in a nutshell.
Thank you very much, Ingrid. You did amazing. And I do want to say Ingrid has an iron fist on these things, and as a result, Elroi Academy can really boast that there's something called an SPA gap, integrity gap, that SACAI measures the difference between your SPA mark and your final exam mark, and the bigger that gap is, the poorer the quality of your assessments are. And we can boast that most of our subjects pass with flying colors. That there's a few subjects that don't, but they are general problems across the board, even across different exam bodies. So with the exception of those, we don't have any problems with the integrity of our results, and that is because of this regular system and the wonderful way in which Ingrid manages that. So thank you for that, Ingrid. I'm then going to go on to, I wonder if Abby is on. Abby, are you on? I want to make sure. Abby, oh yes, there she is. Abby, can I hear you? I don't know if your sound works. I can't hear you. Okay, so while Abby maybe tries to restart. Yes.
My mom's gonna come join me over here.
Okay, excellent. So as you can hear, Abby is Tyler's mom.
Switch off mine so it doesn't make noise.
Excellent. Well, Abby gets ready. I'll just say something about the tutor centers. As I said, tutor centers all work different. And the main point for us is that they are an excellent support service. Abby, I'm going to mute you for chat. There we go. An excellent support for our students. There's some things that doesn't matter how good we do it. There's some things we can't do. It's impossible for us as distance education providers. We can't see that child face to face. We can't provide that child with a safe learning environment. We can't see if that child in his face is having a bad day or struggling with something, unless that child reaches out to us. We can't sit a child down on a chair and say, you will do your assessment now. We can't do those things, but tutor centers can. And so for us, it is an incredible symbiotic relationship to work with tutor centers, where we are the accredited institution, and they, even though they are absolutely able to pass accreditation, they're unable because of legislation, but they then provide what is necessary for our students. So I just asked Abby to explain a little bit about how the tutor support center, how she runs a tutor support center, and how does she, I think it's Teach, Learn, Inspire, how she makes use of Elroi Academy and our services and her experience with us. Thanks, Abby.
Hi guys, sorry, I don't know what happened to my mic on my machine. But I think it's better this way because now my machine and Taylor's machines aren't clashing. So yeah, I think a lot has been said. I obviously missed the first part of the meeting, but from a tutor center, we are here to like Peter actually said, to actually understand the child's demeanor, know where they're at, support them from various different levels. So it's amazing that we don't have to focus on the curriculum being provided. We don't have to focus on the exams. We don't have to focus on everything else, that the SPA tasks or anything like that, or even the marking. We just get to focus 100% on the child. And if you're a teacher and you really are passionate about children, you would know that that's probably more important than anything else. It's more than their marks. It's more than anything else to know where they're at, what they're struggling with, how to get through certain tasks. As a tutor support center, also for us to have a look at their SPA task, kind of say, oh, I think you're missing the mark here, maybe go back, look at it again, and just guide them along the way. So without actually doing work for them, because I don't believe that that's the right thing to do, just guide them a little bit and show them that they kind of missing the mark, or, you know, they need to go and read the question a bit better next time. And then also from an examination point of view, we've had some difficulties in the past where I've not had a very good backing system with another online curriculum provider, or the likes of Elroi, but slightly different, where they actually just kind of dismissed our input as invigilators when we saw children cheating, or when we saw that things weren't going quite the way it should. So it's amazing that we can actually have this relationship where Elroi really trusts us and we really trust them, and together we are working towards a child's future, and not to make ourselves look good or make Elroi look good at the end of the day. It's about building good, strong, honest relationships and letting those children out into the world where they know that they've got good morals and good foundations. I think also it's a safe environment. Your child's not sitting at home on their own, going through whatever it is that they can find on the internet. It's secure. They're with other adults. If anything goes wrong, they've got somebody that they can approach. The parents can contact somebody if something is not quite the way it should. If they feel like their child is struggling a bit, instead of then trying to get hold of an online teacher, they can get hold of an in-person teacher who is then supported amazingly well by Elroi. I'm just having a look over here what else I made notes on. Peter also said, you know, to sit a child down and say, look, now the work needs to be done. Motivate them, show them where their areas of weaknesses are, show them what their areas of strengths are, how they can build themselves up, how they can look at the areas of a paper that they are really good at, start on those areas, work through those areas first, then work on the things that you struggle with a bit, your subject that you struggle with, focus on the ones that you're really good at, ask for help on the ones that you're struggling with, ask for extra guidance, extra support, extra lessons, and that's really what we're here to offer. So we're not a school, and we are not an online system. We kind of just bridge the gap between the two. We're there to support the child in person, but amazingly well, we don't have to do all the hard work that Elroi does by providing the curriculum. We can focus solely on the child's development.
Abby, thank you very much. I don't know anyone could have said it better, and yet I'm sure every tutor support center will have presented it different, because they all work differently, and that's for me the wonderful thing about how this ends up working, is that every child is different, the way that they approach their learning is different, and the way tutor centers work, it just helps us to actually address that uniqueness that we find in our students. So thank you for everything you do, Abby. Your students are amazing. I really appreciate what you do for them. So, and thank you for your time tonight. It was really on short notice. She made herself available, so I really appreciate that. Then I'm going to go over, because I've got some people here that I don't want to delay. Johan, I am going to give you an opportunity in the end, because your time, what you want to talk about is very important, but I do want to ask Dr. Klaassen, do you have another 10 minutes for us?
Sorry, Peter. Yeah, that's 100%. Thank you.
That's fine. Okay, then I'll do concessions just first, if you don't mind, because I think that is a very important topic for Flamboyant. We're just going to take a brief moment to explain to you how assessment accommodations work at Elroi. And I've asked Johan. Johan is our administrator, that's been with us for a number of years. Johan, would you mind, and he deals with the assessment concessions, not with the evaluation, etc., that we will say more about with the registration, but with how it works to apply and how it is applied when it is awarded. Johan, over to you.
Thank you so much, Peter. I will attempt to be very quick. We can talk about concessions for hours. I think the focus of a concession is to give every student equal opportunities, even if with impairments and et cetera, et cetera. Our system is online. In other words, on our portal, admin portal, you'll find an application form. concession applications. There's a SACAI application form. You just need to complete the form. Then you attach supporting documentation from an educational therapist and whatever you need. And from there on, we process this application to SACAI to approve. But from the start, when we receive the application, we already apply the time additions that is approved, that is sort of progressed or put forward by the student in the application. So if he needs 15 minutes extra per hour, we do apply that from the start. And then we await SACAI to approve it. From my point of view, we've got the luxury of Dr. Peter Klaaser, that is arm length from us, that if anybody needs an educational therapist and a supporting structure thereafter, you are welcome to engage with Dr. Peter Klaaser. So it's an online process, it's an online application, and we support every single one as far as possible to allow the student to get equal opportunity.
Thank you, Johan. That was brilliant. Quick, but I am sure on the parent side, there might be some questions here. I don't know if we have all the answers. I just want to correct one thing that Johan said. Dr. Klaaser is not our educational psychologist. That is Johan Lowe, for those parents that might need it. Although for most of these, you need to be in person for the educational psychologist evaluations, but I know that's where Rita comes in. So as parents, you guys are already very well supported in this area, but there might be some questions from your side, maybe Rita, even from your side, regarding assessment accommodations. Do you have maybe a question or two just while we're here?
Hello, Peter. Now, I don't have any questions. I've done quite a lot of the assessments for SACAI, and we actually received last week our approvals from the Department of Education that is normally sent in to SACAI, where they then change it into an approval there. There's only a few written activities that the children have to do extra, but all the other tests are normally approved just the way it is. It's just that SACAI asks certain or different topics when the children have to write on the essays, which is different from IEB because I tried to follow the IEB route. But yes, we actually have received all our approval letters last week.
Excellent. Excellent. Now, on this is a little bit of a complex matter, especially with online education. And so I'm sure the parents will have more questions when it actually starts. But if there is a parent with a question about accommodations, I know we made it now very quick, but if there is anyone that maybe wants to ask something, because this would be a concerning part for any parent whose child needs additional assistance. I'm going to grant that opportunity. Excellent. Okay, I think Johan did say everything about how that time is awarded, but as you can hear, the support is there so that you can be assured that we will assist as best we can. Again, we're not always perfect. We make mistakes, but we really appreciate the patience that we experience from the parent side when we do. So thank you for that. I'll then quickly move on to just to the last little bit, the admin and finances. I'm just going to quickly say a few things there in terms of how you register with Elroi Academy through our website. On our website, there's a cost and registration link that calculates the cost for the service that we offer. You can go to our website if you want exact amounts. The requirement to register is a registration fee between 10% or up to 100%. And then you have the option of making monthly repayments. Our fee is high, in my opinion. It is high, but there are a number of ways in which parents qualify for discounts. And one of the ways is through using a tutor support center. Because there's such a benefit for us, we give tutor support centers a discount code. And every year that they register learners with us, that discount code increases so that some tutor centers get up to 40% discount for their learners because of their loyal support and the effort they make on their side. You also get a discount for registering early. The earlier you register, the bigger that discount is. It's currently on 11%. So I would really encourage you to register as soon as possible for next year to get maximum discount. And then you also get a discount for a large registration fee, paying a large registration fee. So you can get definitely more than half the, more than 50% discount with on our fee, which then makes us one of the most affordable distance education providers if you're using all of these opportunities. Once the student has completed the registration form, there is a process that everything goes through. It's a little bit different when you register early because we're at different parts of our processes. But in general, there is a process of onboarding where students get a demonstration session with their tutor center on how the portals work and how they can access support. So I'm not going to say more than that. We'll send that information to your school just so that they go, or to your tutor support center so that they can assist you in registering. What I then do want to just have an opportunity to is just to introduce you to Dr. Pieter Klaasse. There's a few extra things on Elroi that's completely free included in our services, and the one is Dr. Pieter Klaasse's services. He is a friend of Elroi that offers study and career counseling to our students, and your students, as one means to say sorry for missing last week. We have offered a free session, or a session that's on Elroi's cost for each of your students with Dr. Klaasse for subject choices, to help them with their subject choices for next year. But just an opportunity for Dr. Klaasse to introduce himself, to say a little bit about who he is and how he works with Elroi Academy. Doctor, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Peter, for the opportunity, and good evening to everybody. Now, I'm coming in at the end after the schooling of the learners, so my focus is more on what after school. And I believe that is quite an important thing for me. I've been for 17 years at the University of Pretoria, where I was heading the student recruitment division, and a large part of the responsibility was to guide students towards realistic study choices at the end, because there's too many first-year students ending up at tertiary institutions in the wrong study programs, and a lot of them drop out. So it's very important for me, and I believe the planning for that starts with grade 9 subject choices, because if they don't make the right subject choices, it can be quite disappointing later on when they want to apply for programs where they don't have the subjects. So the consultation that we take, or the testing that we are doing, or what I focus on, is on the learners' career interest as well as their personality, and to make sure that at the end they enter programs that they are really interested in, and not what some people sometimes expect of them to go into, but they're not really interested in. And all the consultations take place on a one-to-one basis, and I always work with students on a basis where their parents are also involved, because at the end it's a decision that they also have the buy-in from the parents. So at the end, I think we look at the interest, we look at their personality, I look at obviously the achievement levels at school level, and then we expose them to careers. So I start a little bit at the end, where I first work towards careers, because they don't often know about careers. So based on their personality and their career interest, we expose them to careers. And once they can decide on the real career that they would like to be for 30 or 40 years after studies, then we work backwards to say, what must you study? What must be the subjects, etc. And then we can guide them until also the application process at the different tertiary institutions. So thank you, Peter. I think that in short is where I'm coming in.
Thank you, Dr. Klaasse. We really, really appreciate you. You know we do. And again, he is simply here because I asked him. He doesn't charge us anything for this. So just to show you again that the people that we work with are people that really care about students, and that believe in what we do at Elroi. So I really appreciate that, Doctor, and especially for your time. I will then just say a few things, and I wish I had more time to only speak to you about the other things that we do that I'm very passionate about, and that means a lot. The one is just our student ambassadors. So at the end of every year, we identify students who have things about their character and about their integrity. Well, I suppose character says it all, that we would want to see in other students as well. That could be hard work, it could be good academics, it could be supporting their fellow students, it could be anything that in our interactions with these students stand out for us about the student, and that makes them someone that we would want to influence other students, and we call them our student ambassadors. And so you've met two of them tonight, Taylor and Danielle, and we love them. They are really, I can't tell you how much they mean to Elroi. They are the ones that make sure, that run all the WhatsApp groups, that make sure the WhatsApp groups are that focus only on the subjects, that the subject content, that don't diverge into other discussions. They develop or they create a student magazine for us. They organize online events, social events for our students. They plan a matric farewell for us. Taylor's busy with that, a matric farewell at the end of the year, and they do much more. They make sure there's so much happening that they often, when they pick up that there's a problem, there's a concern, there's something that's not right, they would bring it to my attention. And then they just, in general, help out on the areas where we really need it, and add a dimension to Elroi that really, again, just sets us apart. And I really appreciate them. I would have wanted them to say something about that, but for time's sake, I just want to thank them in the presence of you all for everything that they do for us. And then finally, I'll just tell you a little bit about our dynamic program. Our dynamic program is just a time that we spend with the students reading through life-changing books. And there's a various number of books that we work through. We've just finished a book called How to Win Friends and Influence People. And that's just us reading through a book and sharing our thoughts on the content and applying that to our lives. And that's usually some time that they spend with me. I had two very difficult terms, so I haven't been able to spend as much time as I did in the past, but this is really a life-changing course. I received a letter from one of my students in the beginning of the year that drove me to tears, just the impact that this had on her, just really learning valuable life skills, and that there's been a range of books, Atomic Habits, what is the 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teens, books that are really, you learn more from the books about life than you do from the schooling. So that's another thing that is that students are invited to and can attend freely, and that's a contact session usually once a week, and we provide the books for them. So ladies and gentlemen, this is Elroi in a nutshell. And I'm actually very impressed with how much we were able to bring across, but that's because I'm sure you saw the heart of the people that are involved in Elroi, and this is only a small part of the team. There's many more of us, and so thank you for all of the teachers that made themselves available tonight, Dr. Klaaser, the students, and some of the admin staff. Thank you very much for that. I want to say you're more than welcome to go and spend time with your family, but I do want to give just a little bit more time to the parents. If you have a question for me, I want to release the teachers and the staff and Dr. Klaaser, but if you have a question maybe for me about Elroi Academy, please feel free to ask that if there's anything that's still unclear. Rita, and that's for you as well, you and Gail. Okay, so let me just get to the hands raised. Rita, yes, you have a question.
Yes, Peter, I just want to find out the practical subjects, like visual art or maybe the consumer studies. If we have a learner who would like to take a subject like that, I know they are outsourced, but how do the assessment take place? The practical side. If you have to bake a cake, who's going to try to taste that your cake is actually edible?
Yeah. So Rita, to be honest, I won't be able to answer that question very well because we outsource it. And one of the reasons we outsource is because we don't know how to do that as well as the other institutions that we outsourced too actually does. I see Taylor's hand is up, and I don't know, Taylor, is that maybe it's you or Abby, because they have outsourced subjects. Maybe she can better answer that question. We try and stay as far away from that as possible, to focus on the subjects that we offer. Abby, did you have an answer, or Tyler?
So it's me, Taylor.
Yes.
The assessments work not the same as, so I do EGD through Think Digital Academy, and pretty much what happens is your assessment is due or is opened up on the portal. Then obviously your teacher would, or your invigilator would then print it for you. And basically we work with the invigilator app, which we use in Elroi as well, which is how we do our assessments as well. We do it through the invigilator app, and then we obviously submit it the same way that we would with Elroi, scanning it in and then putting it through a PDF online.
So just to clarify what I think Mrs. McFadden is asking, how does the practical side of it work? Do you, if you had to do EGD tests, do you have then an invigilator registered with Think Digital that then makes sure that you comply in that sense?
So with contact with Think Digital, what happens is all of our assessments actually go through Elroi. So we would use the Invigilator app as well, but the invigilators that are registered with Elroi, they then take those invigilators, they do a quick invigilator training with those invigilators, but majority of it goes through Elroi Academy.
Right. Elroi's invigilators, I understand what you mean. Rita, I will try and get a bit more clarity, as you said, for example, who tastes the cake, who checks the desks. As I said, the setups, we outsource to Think Digital, and it's their responsibility to offer their subject to the candidate. So I'm sorry, I'm not too helpful on that question.
No, thank you so much. I do understand what Tyler also said, because I visited today Natural Dynamics, where I actually got some information on how this Invigilator app works. So yeah, it makes sense to me. But yes, it would be great to hear more the practical side for something like art, or then the consumer studies, if we can talk about that later at some stage.
Okay,
Thank
perfect.
you so much.
Then, Gail, you had a question.
Yes, thank you for your time, Peter. I really appreciate it. As you know, Flamboyant is a school for children with difficulties, challenges in learning. So their concessions as far as learning is concerned in the day, teacher will read everything, explain everything. So 2 questions. Would our pupils cope with the Elroi curriculum in the tutor center? And my second question, do you provide training for a tutor that we're busy looking for? Would Elroi provide training for what the tutor's got to do with 4 or 5 our children that are looking at this program for next year?
Yeah. Gail, to answer your first question, with the students cope, the qualification is a set qualification, so that if you were to go to any school, any institution that offers the National Senior Certificate, the content is exactly the same. It's not as if Elroi's content is more or less. The content and the scope for assessment is exactly the same. So if the candidate that you are referring to would have been able to do the National Senior Certificate in any other institution that were offering that same qualification, then they would be able to cope with it with Elroi. We don't, we're not excessive with our work at all, and we offer as much support as we can. However, the National Senior Certificate also has what's called the endorsed certificate, which means that you reduce the number of subjects. So it's still a, am I right, Rita? Is that what it's called? I'm not 100% sure, maybe you know.
Yes. Yeah, I think
It's called
that is when
endorsed.
you have, yes.
We
The
only
5
have 5 subjects. Yes, so it's still a valid matric. It's still a matric that you can use to go to any to get a job after school. it's considered, it's just called an endorsed matric, and that is to reduce the workload. It's exactly for learners with learning challenges so that they can't cope with that amount of workload. And absolutely, we have learners that can do that have bigger difficulties than most, and they then go for an endorsed matric. I think it works a little bit different if you have an endorsed matric to actually go to, or with that to university. It might work a bit different. I'd need to get clarity for you about how that works, but that's to answer your first question. Let me just first clarify or make sure that, does that actually help?
Yes, it does. Thank you. It has answered. Thank you.
And then the second one, in terms of the tutor training, it's the first time we've had that request. I'm sure we can absolutely do that, but I wonder if we would be as effective at doing that, or if we could rather arrange for some of our existing tutor centers that are excellent at what they offer. I'm sure we can definitely arrange a training session with one of those to actually show you how you would make use of Elroi. And on our side, we can definitely organize some of our teachers to help you understand how our material works, how it's put together, and how you can use it to set learning programs. But then on the tutor side, how the rubber actually meets the road, we can definitely, I think that would be a wonderful idea to offer a training program for your teachers or tutors.
I think Rita's already looked at that with National Dynamics here. So yes, that sounds wonderful. And one quick one. If at all possible, if we get this thing going up and running before the end of the year, would it be possible for our children that we've already earmarked for this program for next year to already touch base with maybe some of the teachers or the program in December before school closes? We end at the end of November. Teachers are at school for another week or so. Would that be possible once we've earmarked the kids that are going to stay with us next year in grade 10, Peter?
Yeah, absolutely. That would be possible. It does depend on the availability of teachers at that time, because many of them are markers for the matric final exams. But at least for some of them, I definitely think we'll be able to get you in touch and get them started on the program and maybe comfortable, so that the year doesn't start with everything new.
That's super. That answers my question. Thank you very much, Peter.
Okay, thank you. Yaku, Yvette, sorry, I see your hand is raised. Maybe you're answering something that someone asked. So Yvette, did you want to answer something?
Yes, Peter. Just regards to the consumer studies and the visual arts, I remembered the one time that I marked at SACAI, they did the visual arts. And basically what happened was that the centers would send in literally it's being sent in by post, the portfolio of the visual arts specifically. They send in the portfolio, and then a teacher marks it at SACAI itself for the end of the year. So the exam will take place like a normal assessment with the Invigilator app, or a teacher in the class or something like that, or a tutor. And then the final product is then sent to SACAI, and they mark it for the end of the year. So the visual arts is easy enough to do, because I was there when they did that, and there were quite a few kids that did it that way. The consumer studies, I'm not 100%, but I would imagine that they have that sorted in any case. But I know for the visual arts, for a center like Flamboyant that would have students do visual art, that would be a very easy process to just have it posted to SACAI with Fastnet or Kuriga, something like that.
Yeah, that is how the matric final exam work. It's just the grade 10 and 11 might be a little bit different, since SACAI doesn't mark that. But we'll get the clarity. Thanks, Yvette. That's very kind. Yaku, you had a question. You're welcome, if you're Afrikaans, to ask it in Afrikaans.
Good evening, Peter. No, I wrote my notes here in English, so I'll ask it in English. Just on the structure side of it, how long is the online sessions, the contact sessions that you say, and then just to help me get clarity on, do do we sort of set up a timetable for the kids, or they on that weekly pack that you talk about that they get on a Sunday or a Monday morning? Does that entail the whole setup of how long, when the sessions will be, the online sessions will be?
Jaco, tell me, are you asking as a parent or as a tutor?
As a teacher, I'm with Flamboyant.
Excellent. Okay, excellent. Yeah, so Jaco, that's I'm so glad. That's an excellent question. We don't set programs for the student. They get their weekly work, their weekly content from the teachers, what they need to work through, and then each learner is in a different situation on how they would use it. For example, as I said, many of us learners are matric rewriters, so they study at night. But in general, how the tutor centers work, and I think this is where the training will be so helpful, is if tutor centers actually show us how they then make use of that to set their programs. Those study guides are also available from the beginning of the year, so you can obviously set your program well in advance. But again, it would also be different for maybe for every student on how much time they are going to spend on different subjects. So yeah, we don't provide the actual program. That's something that the tutor center or the teacher would set for themselves. And I know some of our tutor centers are literally schools. They have a normal school program like any other high school would have, and they simply make use of Elroi Academy as the institution that offers them the what is it called, the quality assured assessments, so that the qualification in the end. Your other question, how long the contact sessions are, those contact sessions are absolutely voluntary, so the students don't have to attend it, and there are not contact sessions for every subject. It's only in the subjects where the students actually need it significantly, and that's mathematics, for example. I know languages have regular ones, especially for the literature, and then finally the other one that has regular contact sessions is physical science, and that's just again because it's a challenging subject. But they are, and then all of the subjects have contact sessions at least once a term to do memo discussions, etc. And so because of that nature, I can't tell you that they are. I know maths, for example, is an hour-long session a week, maybe a little bit longer. I don't know if Ulrika is still here. You can maybe put it in the announcement or in the comment. An hour session. Languages might be similar to that, but a memo discussion might last longer than that. But yeah, so I don't know if I properly answered your question. It looks like Rita has a comment there.
Yes, Peter, yes, I've got some examples today of different timetables. So yes, I will discuss that tomorrow with Jaco and Gail as well.
Thanks, Rita. That's very good. Renelle, yes.
Just to answer that question about the contact sessions, I think we usually try to make it an hour, and if it's a feedback on an assessment and it takes longer, then we break it up in more than one session. But I think that we might just add that these contact sessions are also recorded. So if learners cannot attend that contact session, they can go to the portal, and then they can go and access that recording, and then they can watch it.
That's actually a very important point that I completely forgot. Thank you. Thanks, Renelle. Jaco, sorry, I don't know if I properly answered, but
yeah, no, thank you very much. I'm a bit more clearer now on how it's going to work. Thank you very much.
So what we also do for some tutors, and we don't do it for all the tutor centers, they don't all need it, but for those especially that have a number of teachers and a significant number of students, we have a WhatsApp group for that tutor center specifically with all of our teachers added to that group, so that if there is something that's concerning or something they will want to ask, that they can just ask that on the WhatsApp group, and one of our teachers or support staff can assist them. So that's really been very helpful, but to be honest, they're very quiet. So I think once they get into the rhythm of how it works, then and then it goes well. So I can maybe just, I think, yeah, let me leave it there. I don't know if there's any other questions. If not, yes, Gail.
No, I've got the last one. Just to thank you very much and your team for providing a lot of information for us this evening. And then just a friendly invite. If we invite you to Flamboyant School to White River, would you visit us sometime next year?
I will definitely, and
Fantastic.
I am
Thank you.
I'm
Thank you. Thank
sure
you.
many of our teachers would actually want to come with.
Fantastic.
Yvette,
That
I know
would be
you're coming
lovely.
with.
It'd be super. Thank you very much, Peter. I appreciate it.
No, thanks, Gail. No, we visited almost all of our tutor centers. I realize now we've not visited Abby yet. Abby, I better come. But thank you very much for your time, and for the parents that were online, and for those that are going to watch the video. We really appreciate the opportunity to get involved. It is my son's birthday today, and I need to rush to get to spend some time with him. So if you would excuse me, thank you very much. And I'm sure we'll talk again soon. Have a
Thank
good
you
night.
so much, Peter. We really appreciate that.
Thanks, Rita. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Peter. Have a good evening.
Thanks, Yaku. I will. Thank
Okay,
you. Thank you,
bye.
Audrey. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.